Hello, New Hampshire LEGO League engineers. As I've promised, I'm going to give you guys a quick video tutorial of how to use the NXT 2.1 or 2.0 programming software. When most of you guys come to robotics, you'll see a screen look similar to this, has a nice background, and over here you're going to see NXT 2.1 programming or 2.0 programming, depending on the age of your laptop, and then you're going to see the NXT data logging program. Don't worry about data logging for now. We're not going to be talking about that in this section. What we're going to be talking about is NXT 2.1 programming. So real simple, when you boot up your computer, you go ahead and you click on the NXT 2.1 programming shortcut, and that's going to go ahead and open up the NXT 2.1 software that we use. And the screen should pop up just like that. Now, when we start a program, whether we're starting a motor block program or an ultrasonic program or a program to solve a challenge, we're always going to go under here when we've loaded up the software for the first time where it says Start New Program and type in our program name. In this case, I'm going to call it Training Video 1. And make sure all my letters are spelled correctly. And then we just hit the Go button. Once we do that, that's going to bring up a window where we can work. Now you see over here this Robot Educator section. If you have your own NXT software, this is a great way to practice some of the different technologies and different palettes and the data logging and different functions, how to use an ultrasonic. And it's kind of the stuff that we're going to be learning during the course of our training program, but not using their software, we're using an original program. So we're just going to go up here to the top where you see this little X, and we're going to click on that X. The reason we do that is it opens up the entire screen to be able to work. Now, on the left-hand side, you're going to see the different color palettes. You're going to see the basic palettes, which is this here, which has all your sort of common blocks. Your two-wheeled motor block, if you did a recording block, an audio block, text block, a weight block, a loop block, and a switch block. Right now, we're pretty much focused on move blocks. We're going to get into some of the other blocks like the record and play and sound blocks later, but the more critical ones are going to be the move blocks, weight blocks, and then in the more advanced program we'll talk a little bit about loop and switch blocks, which become real critical when you're trying to get the robot to think a little more autonomously. This is the common palette. This is where most of the blocks that the average user that's just trying to figure out the software is going to go. We're going to go over here to the complete palette. And the reason is we need to be able to use single motor blocks as well as dual motor blocks. So we're going to click this little tab in the middle right here, and that's going to bring us to the complete palette where we can then begin to start to look at our program. So within the complete palette block, you're going to see a common palette block. So just like we had over here in this tab with the green circle, you're going to have up here in the complete tab, you're going to have all of those quick reference blocks, the dual motor blocks, your record, your play, your sound, just like we had before, the weight block, loops, and switches. These are going to be the ones you're going to use most of all, so having them all in the same place is really convenient once you get into a little bit more advanced programming. However, we're going to move down to the action blocks, because right now we're working mostly with motor blocks. And that's where our single motor block is. You also have your sound and your display blocks here, the Bluetooth capability, the ability to use the color sensor, and the light sensors as well. The block below it has all of our standard sensors, ultrasonic, color, thermometer, which is temperature. There's actually all different kinds of sensors. And we'll get into sensors a little bit later. We are going to be, hopefully before the end of this class, at least looking at ultrasonic and touch sensors. As we get down here, the flow, the weight block is a very critical block. So that's one we're definitely going to be starting to use, as we learned about a couple of weeks ago. We also have our data blocks, which we're not going to be doing in this class. That'll be more of an advanced program. And then the advanced blocks, which we're not going to talk about again today as well. So basically, you're into this common space for just about everything other than your single motor blocks. So we're going to be looking at the green circle and the green square for most of what we're going to be doing today. So let's go ahead and look at our motor blocks. Right? If you're going to have the robot make a turn, it's going to go left, it's going to go right, you're going to be using a one-wheeled turn. Now, let's bring up the one-wheel block and let's take a look at it. And one of the things you're going to notice when we drop a one-wheel block in here is there's the letter for the motor, there's the direction it's going, there's the speed, and then there's the number of rotations are displayed right here in the block. That's sort of the quick reference information. This tells me that motor A is going to be going forward at an unlimited distance, and and at a certain motor speed, which we'll need to go ahead and set when we get down to the bottom. Within the basic standard blocks, there are certain things we definitely need to take a look at. The first and most important thing in a single motor block is what port are we connected to. Most of you have your left wheel in your A port and your right wheel in your B port or your C port, leaving the third motor port open for our third motor, which we haven't added yet. So you need to make sure, the first thing you need to do when you're setting a motor block is make sure the motor block is for the port you want to use. That port can be listed, that can be checked here with these radio buttons, either A, B, or C. So you must check the port on your robot to compare it to the program. Then you have to determine the direction. Assuming you guys have all put your motors in the same way, which I believe everybody has, the motor blocks have to go either forward, backwards, or they break. So you can put in a motor block to actually tell your robot to go forward, to go backward, or to actually stop. So you can say, I want to stop all motor blocks. That can be one of the blocks in your program. All right. So when you look at this block, we're going to say, okay, we're going to set this one up for port A. We're going to set the direction to go forward, which is going to make, because we're only moving one wheel, going to make our robot turn right. Forward block, the block is on the left. We're going forward. It's going to make the robot turn right. Because we have the distance set to unlimited, it's actually going to make the robot turn in circles basically forever. Down here, we've set the power speed at 75. With the robots you guys are working with in the larger tires, I always recommend starting at 50, but that's up to you. The robot will be more precise and more active at 50. Now, we're going to control the motor power here, and we're going to keep it constant, which is why we can check or uncheck that box. If you check the box, it'll help maintain motor control between multiple motors. Down here under the duration, we are now working with degrees. You guys all have a chart. You guys all have a tape measure in your box, so you'll be measuring out the conversion of centimeters to degrees. 360 degrees is going to be a full rotation of the motor. It might not necessarily be a full rotation of the size of your wheel, though, so you have to pay attention to that. We have the weight box checked here, so before we move on to the next block, this block has to complete its action. If you wanted the robot to do multiple blocks at the same time, one way, and again, not really for wheels so much and moving the robot, but for other actions like having a robot pick something up one way and then turn the other way, you can have multiple blocks going at the same time. And then down at the bottom, you have the action of a hard stop at the end of the block or a coast. And sometimes, depending on what you're doing, a coast is a little more effective. Your robot doesn't quite jerk or move as much. So that's basically a single motor block. Now let's put a dual motor block right next to that. And we're going to notice it's pretty much identical. Now, you have the ability to choose ports, but because we're doing a dual motor block, we could choose multiple ports with the checkbox. Again, if your robot's not doing what you think it should be doing, the first place to check is in these ports. Make sure you have the right port set up with the robot. Again, power should be 50 to start, and you can adjust from there. We're working with degrees, which are over here, which you use with your measuring tape. And then obviously you have your direction of forward, backwards, or stop block. Now, one of the things you'll see down here is steering, C and B. We can use a dual motor block to turn the robot by using steering. The more I move this lever this way or this way will tell it which wheel I want to have more power with. So if I tell it to move this way, I'm going to get more power out of my C wheel than I am out of my B wheel to get the robot to turn. This is basically one wheel going forwards, one wheel going backwards. That makes the robot spin on a two-wheel turn. There are some uses for that. There is a nice advantage to that. You guys are welcome to play with that style, but the one we try to teach is single motor block turns. And the reason is you can set them up to be more precise. Really quickly to end the program, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and just build a quick motor block and show you what go forward, turn right, go forward, turn right, and go forward. We're going to make a U shape. So we're going to go to our common block because obviously we want to go forward, so we need a dual motor block. I'm going to set, once that locks in, I'm going to set my ports as A and C. I want the robot to go forward. I don't want it to steer at all, so I'm going to leave that right in the middle. Again, we're using the bigger wheel, so I'm going to set my 50 power. We're going to go, let's say we're going to go, 720, we're going to go 1440. We're going to go basically 4 full rotations, and then I want a hard brake. All right, then what I want the robot to do is I want a single wheel turn. I want the robot to turn 90 degrees. Now again, depending on the width or size of your robot, I want to make a right-hand turn, so I'm going to use my left motor, which is my A motor. We're going to tell it to go forward. Same thing, 50 speed, because we don't want to go too fast. All right. And what we used in Kings of Construction was the belief that it was a 270-degree turn. But again, that was the basis of our wheelbase. Yours might be slightly different. That you have to kind of figure out through trial and error, kind of mark your robot, and we can figure that out. And I'll show you guys some neat tricks during practice to be able to do that. All right. Now, so I've got a robot that goes forward and turns. Now, I could go ahead and take these blocks and rebuild them, keep dragging them over. But I'm going to try to make a U, right? So I went forward and I turned. Well, what's the next thing I want to do? I want to go forward again the same amount of distance, and then I want to turn. So I'm going to highlight these blocks. So I'm going to click and hold my left mouse button. I'm going to drag across these two blocks to highlight them. See how they're highlighted in blue? I'm going to grab that. We're going to go to our screen and we're going to go Control C, which copies the blocks. And then we're going to go Control, hold the Control button down, and hit V. And see how I copy those blocks? The other way you could do it is up here in the screen where you could click Edit. Let's see where I think it's under Edit. Yep. See, if I had them highlighted, it'd be copy and paste there. But I like the Control V and the Control C because it's allowing you to use the skills that you're going to be able to use outside the program. So we've got go forward, turn right, go forward, turn right. So now I've made an L shape. Really simply. I'm going to take these again. I'm going to copy them, Control C. I'm going to paste them, Control V. And I'm going to drop them in. Now I've got a box and I've made a full U. So I've gone up, I've turned right, I've gone forward, I've turned right, I've gone forward again. If I wanted to make this a complete box, I could just paste those two blocks again, Control V. And now I've got a perfect square, or ideally what should be a perfect square. All right. If I wanted to note these, so let's say I wanted to know what these were. There's a great feature up here called Comment Tool. So if as you're programming, you're not quite sure what you're working on, and you don't want to get confused, just use the Comment Tool. And you can type in, go forward. Go down here. I can put another one up. Turn right. And this helps you to get go forward. And this helps you if you guys are trying to, if you're struggling trying to figure out, maybe, okay, I'm in this program and I'm not quite sure where it is, but I need to get it to the right spot. That's what these allow you to do. Go forward, turn right, and so on and so forth. And I can highlight that, Control C, Control V, and then just highlight it again. And it gets a little tricky to grab them, but you can grab them and then move them right where you want them to be. So we got to go forward here. I want to slide that over. I got my turn right here. Same thing. I want to try to move it over just a little bit. So it's a little bit clearer. So you see, go forward, turn right. If you're looking at this, it should look a lot like the form that I gave you. All right. Inside the form that I gave you. And we're going to do a quick video on that as well for a next one. But I wanted you guys to get a good feeling of how to use the software. Do me a favor. As we go through this class, watch these videos a couple of times. They're really short, 10, 12 minutes, 15 minutes tops. I won't make them any longer than that. Watch them once or twice before you come to meetings. It's really going to help you guys grasp the programming concept a lot faster. That'll help speed up so we can get to some more fun stuff. I want to thank you guys for being part of our engineering class. I hope everybody's having a lot of fun. I do understand that this program can be quite a challenge. You guys are all doing fantastic. Keep up the work. Be patient. You guys are doing a very skilled type of programming. You're not going to learn it in the first seconds. Okay, so have fun, enjoy yourselves. As always, ask for questions. Again, my name is Dan Hughes, New Hampshire Lego League. Thanks for watching.